another movie review tonight. I've just been watching this. It's like a 2013 film. It's a super film, by the way. It's Man of Steel. I've been watching the Man of Steel tonight. And really good film. I watched this in 2013 on the cinema. I watched it in 3D, of course. When I first watched it, I wasn't keen on it. I think because there was so much going off on the screen, it was 3D. I was distracted by the 3D. I don't know. But that was the first time I actually watched 3D on the cinema. Actually, it's been a while since, at the time, it was the first time I went to the cinema since 2001. Because I went with my brother and his ex-girlfriend, in 2001 watched Tomb Raider. Of course, when I watched Man of Steel, that actually was the first time I've been to the cinema for years. But like, it's a good film, this was. I like it more now than I did when I first watched it. And it stars Michael Shannon, Dan Lane, Amy Adams, Kevin Costner, Lawrence Fishburne, Russell Crowe, Henry Sewell, who plays the Man of Steel. And who makes, by the way, makes a good Superman. But yeah, good film. I enjoyed Gerald, Superman's father now, of course. He asked the council to give him control of the genetic thing, of course. Later on, he actually found out he puts that in his son, so it's kind of like a mixed up kind of story. It's like, I'm not really. The film is so much going off in this film. It's crazy. But they put the genetic stuff in his son later on. Of course, you find out later on in the film. Of course, that's kind of puts Zod on the deep end on that. Of course, he wants to kill Clark Kent. Of course, you find out later on just to get his DNA for the survival of his people or something. And of course, Zod launches an uprising, of course, against the council stuff. So, and what Gerald does is steals the genetic stuff from the what's it called, the course, I don't know, some kind of genetic thing. He steals the genetic stuff and puts them in his son, of course, which he does, of course, for some reason, survivors, people, whatever, to keep the DNA going. Like I said, it's a kind of like mixed up story. It's kind of, there's so much going off in this film. It's crazy. Of course, Kal-El is Kal-El is the first natural born child in the. Of course, what Gerald does is send his son. Of course, you know the storyline. He puts his son on a spaceship and he sends him to Earth. Of course, in this film, they actually tell him that you know exactly where his destination is. Of course, they're worried about his son. And they're gonna kill him or so because he's different. Of course, Gerald has faith in the Earth's people. So Zod's people, of course, are convicted of treason. So they're sent to the Phantom Zone. Of course, the funny thing is they put them in this like they look like, I don't know. It's like when they put them in this stuff, right? They look like dildos. It's like little. It's like how they like dildos. I think, what is those little funny shaped things? So anyway, you see, of course, then Clark Kent ends up on planet Earth. Of course, Kryptonite gets blown up. Of course, it's interesting because you see him as the adult, and then you see flashbacks from the past. And the cool scene I liked was the part where he's in the bar. He's working in the bar, right? And first of all, he's working on like some kind of fishing boat or something. And then he saves these people on this rig. Of course, later on in the film, he's in this bar, and this guy starts him. And I love the part where he just, sticks the truck. He destroys the guy's truck, and that scene was great. Talk about great revenge. That was just That was just fantastic the way they did that. It was just fantastic. So yeah, I like the performances. Kevin Costner plays Clark Kent's dad. Of course, he died in '97. Of course, not his real dad, but his kind of like adopted dad. So yeah. Of course, later on in the film, there's one part where he's on some kind of ship or something, and of course, that's where it's like a ship or something that's crashed along or something. And on that, you actually see his dad. He's like on some kind of hologram or something. I don't know, some kind of. And of course, he talks to him and stuff like that. And of course, that's where he gets his suit from. On this like, I don't know, it's in this ship or something, whatever it is. So anyway, at first I thought it was Fortune of the Solitors, but I don't know what's that. Anyway, so he gets his outfit and stuff. And he starts to learn to fly and stuff. And the flying sequences are fantastic. You know, when he starts flying at first and kind of like crashes, and he says, going up like that. I'm just going up, and when I keep going, it does. It keeps going in the film. Yeah, good fun though. Really, great action scenes, good special effects, excellent special effects. And what's his name? Brian Singer does a Brian Singer. Jack Snyder does a great job in this film. It's fantastic. The effects are fantastic. It's still look great, by the way. I watched it in normal 2D graphics. The interesting part is she actually knows who Superman is. She knows who Clark Kent, of course. In this, actually, she finds out straight away who he is. It's quite interesting the way they did that, which is interesting. I like the way they did that. When I first watched it, I was like, you know, it's a because you know, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot happens in the film. It's like almost a 2.5 hour film. And it's hard to explain the whole storyline, but I'm trying to explain the certain parts of the story in this review, and then total flaw review. So yeah. Like I say, his dad. You see a flashback of his dad later on in the film, of course, of how he died and stuff like that. Of course, he could have saved his dad, but he didn't, because his dad is telling him not to, you know, reveal his identity. Yes, of course, and that was pretty. It's like a big tornado, right? Twister, whatever, a massive tornado, right? And of course, that's how his dad dies. Of course, he could have saved him, but he never, because like I said, his dad was kind of like holding his hand out and saying no, because he's saving the dog, of course. Of course, when Zod does turn up on Earth, he wants Clark Kent as Superman, of course. Of course, you don't really know he's Superman until later on, because he gets his name. Actually, it's kind of a weak way the way he got his name, because I thought, hang on a minute, that was it. Someone just names him and that's it. It's like, there is kind of lame. The only problem with this film is there is kind of lazy ways of explain a few things in this film. There is a few moments in fact makes no sense, like there's like these things called gravity weapon things where they slam vehicles and stuff out off the ground. Like they kind of like the slam thing, and I'll come to that scene in a bit because it kind of makes no sense. Like I said, it's a good film and I enjoyed it. It's got a lot of flaws to it, but not as much as some films I've seen, so yeah. But apart from that, the film is enjoyable as hell. Heck, loads of action. Henry Cavill makes a great Superman. Clark Kent, he's like when you see him later as Clark Kent, it's like he's playing the same character. It's weird. When you have Christopher Reeves like playing Superman and Clark Kent, he played two different roles. You wouldn't think about Superman. That's what made his performance stand out in the film. But this, it's like Clark Kent, Superman, same person. I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway, so when Zod does turn up, of course, everyone he sends this like cryptic, like his fuzzy cryptic message to the Earth people, of course, because he wants them to release Superman or so. And of course, they have to catch us. Then what happens is that Superman surrenders or so, of course, to save Earth's people, of course. Anyway, Zod wants Superman, of course, them to release Superman, of course. Whatever, Clark Kent, whatever. He surrenders to Zod, of course. When he does go on Earth, of course, the gravity thing's like, he starts to get infected by the gravity thing on the ship, so it's some kind of like the not gravity thing, the atmosphere, of course. Of course, he has to get used to it. So anyway, like I said, I'm not going to explain too much in this film because it's so much happening in this whole film. It's hard to explain. It's like this happens, that happens, explosions, stuff. It's really, it's not like certain parts some films I can explain pretty well, but this one's kind of hard to explain because there's so much happening. It's like a 2.5 hour film. So yeah, like I said, there's things called I think they're called world engines, and these gravity things that can, and what they're trying to do is like turn Earth into another Krypton. Of course, the Air Force and stuff like the army or whatever, they have to try stopping the people from the Dodge people and stuff like that. So, I'll get to the scene in a bit. Right, I'll tell you the scene right now. There's one part where at the end of the film, right, it's like Clark blows up one of the gravity things, the world engine, whatever it was. Strange name for finger, and everything's like kind of going up. Some certain things from the ground are like going up, and of course Lois Lane is dropping, which is odd. She's like dropping. That scene makes no sense at all. She's dropping, everything else is going up, and you think there is a lot of things that's blue. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or what, bloopers and stuff, but yeah. But apart from that, the fight between Zod and Superman is pretty epic. It really is. I was like, ooh, it's fantastic the way they did that. But when Superman is facing a bunch of freaking Zod's men, right, of course, women or whatever, there's one part where he says get indoors and stuff like that. Then he's throwing Zod's freaking men, women, into the freaking buildings and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, huh, okay. It's kind of strange because you think, hang on, he's telling people to, you know, stay for indoors, and he's throwing people through freaking. It's got some moments you think, oh, okay, it's putting everyone's life. There is parts where Superman puts people's lives at risk. Of course, I could understand why, because it's, you know, it's like him versus a bunch of freaking it's people who have got like super strength just like him. I like the fact. I like it when he uses the heat vision and stuff. I like the way he uses the heat vision. It looks a bit like Cyclops from X-Men, where he's like, you know, the heat vision literally just comes out his eyes, literally, like powerful. But yeah, fantastic effects, great action scenes, solid performance from all the cast, and Lawrence Fishburne actually plays Perry White in it. It's like weird. I don't really mind that because he's an excellent actor, Lawrence Fishburne is, and the last part's pretty fantastic when the buildings are collapsing and stuff like that. You think, Jesus Christ. It's got some great epic moments in this movie. It's got some cool moments. And I think Jack Snyder's done a good job in this film. I think he did an excellent job. Not one of his better movies, but it's a good film. Actually, no, what is his best film? Dawn of the Dead? I do like Watchmen. Flawed though. Watchmen was flawed. It's like one of the films that looks amazing, incredible, but then you think, huh, was it a good film though? So yeah, I'm gonna watch it again. But yeah, this is a better film altogether. Nice 3D cover. Flying sequence are excellent. Like I said, there's so much happening in this film. It's hard to explain every part of the film. It's like so much happening. When you see him as a kid, certain parts where there's one part where he saves these kids on this bus. Of course, some of the kids see him, of course. Girls, Lois Lane. Oh, is it Lois Lane? I think she's on the bus and she sees him and stuff like that. So yeah. Michael Shannon, great actor by the way, excellent actor. He makes a great Zod. He's quite intimidating in this. I was like, Jesus Christ, you know. There's one part where he kills Clark Kent's dad, Jor-El, of course, by sticking one of these sharp things right through him. After when he sends his son in one of the escape spaceship pod things, and the escape thing is actually different to the one in Superman. Of course, Superman looks like freaking Christmas decoration. You know, there's like decoration things like. But this ship like looks pretty cool. It's like, you know, it's like so anyway. Like I said, the fight scene between Zod and Superman is pretty epic, and a lot of explosions and stuff. It's like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, so I'm gonna cut this review short. And last part was great. First part was great. Last part was middle part was great. Last part was great. Actually, I think all the film was great. It does slightly slow down a little bit, but it doesn't really matter because that's where it kind of just slows down just a little bit to give you a breather, and then it kicks in again, the action scene. So yeah, 2013 film. So like I said, I've seen it before. I've seen it about 4 times now. But it looks great on Blu-ray. I didn't watch it. Like I said, I didn't watch it. I saw it in 3D on the cinema, but I didn't really watch it in 3D again. I might watch it in 3D again one day. But yeah, good film. I enjoyed it. Actually, it's interesting because in this he becomes Superman before he becomes Clark Kent. It's like a reversal thing, because usually, right, when you see Superman series or films, he's Clark Kent first and Superman later. But on this, is that Superman first and then Clark Kent. If you never noticed that before, it's interesting the way they did that. Because the last part, you actually see him disguised as Clark Kent. If you, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, so the rating I'm going to give this film is a 1 out of 10. So I'm just joking. It's an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Really good film. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this scene with Batman v Superman, but I might, because I'm watching that tomorrow night. So 8 out of 10 for Man of Steel. Really good film. Good special effects. Good action scenes. It's got moments you think, okay. But yeah, I think it's a really good film. I enjoyed it. So an 8 out of 10 for Man of Steel. Right, like I said, I did a the last review I did Man of Steel. So today I'm going to do a review of. Because today I'm going to do. Alright, okay. My next review is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Good movie, really enjoyed it. Don't know why it got the rap it got. I mean, because Ghostbusters got a higher rating than this on Rotten Tomatoes, but then again you think, well, it doesn't really matter just because Rotten Tomatoes reviews are a little bit strange anyway. But this is a much better film than that. And I've not really checked the reviews since the reviews that I got since, but I was a bit shocked because I watched this film. I thought this is 10 times better than that movie. The new Ghostbusters, not the original ones. But this film is great. I mean, I like the way that, I mean, it introduces, you actually do see characters like Aquaman in certain parts. Cyborg, The Flash, and then of course Wonder Woman pops up on this, which I like her character. What's the name? Gallan, whatever name. And she's great. She makes a great Wonder Woman, by the way. I like the fact she introduces her in this film. This film has got some gritty scenes in it. It's got swearing in it. It's got a bit of violence in it. I watched the 3-hour film and it's a long film, so I'm not going to explain the whole story because there's a lot happening in this film. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Really enjoyed it. Very underrated, I'd say. I mean, you even see Doomsday in it. It's like, I think Doomsday is pretty badass in it. I mean, it's pretty cool the way Lex created this Doomsday machine character. So anyway, at the beginning of the film, I'll say a bit of the story, not too much because it's too much to explain. You see, at the beginning of the film, you do see a young Bruce Wayne when his parents got killed and stuff, and I like the way that Bruce Wayne's dad in it is actually played by, what's his name? What's that guy? Jeffrey D. Morgan, who's on The Walking Dead. He actually plays his dad, and he does a great job. By the way, he's a great actor. Jeffrey D. He's a really excellent actor. And I've heard that they're making a Flash Paradox and he's playing Batman. Oh, that'd be fantastic. I've heard that he's doing that. So yeah. Of course, Ben Affleck plays Batman. He does a great job, by the way. I remember hearing about it a while back. People were like, oh, what the hell? But then I thought, I don't know. It could work because he's a good actor. The thing about Ben Affleck, he's a very good actor. Daredevil wasn't a bad film. It just, I enjoyed Daredevil. It wasn't perfect, but if you watch the new series, it's fantastic. It's a much better series. But yeah, he does a great job as Batman does. I mean, I heard that he wants to quit Batman or so. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but like I said, it's a good film. Of course, when you see his parents get shot, I like the way they did that scene. It was really wicked, and he drops down into this hole, and then he starts flying. All his bat starts flying. He starts kind of levitating. It's a pretty cool scene that was. And of course, it fast forwards years later when he's older, of course, as Bruce Wayne, of course, older Bruce Wayne. And I like the fact that you see the last part of Man of Steel. It takes place just after that. No, between that and after that, where you see like the destruction of Metropolis, where it's like massive. Yeah, you see it's like massive. You know the last part of Man of Steel. You see that part at the beginning of this film, which is freaking great the way they did that. Where you see Lex, Batman and Zod, Superman and Zod, sorry, fighting each other. Of course, he's like, and of course, devastation around the city. Of course, people die and stuff, and of course, I think someone that he knows gets killed in the aftermath. Of course, Batman doesn't trust Superman at all because certain parts of this film in a certain part of this film you do see dream sequence in this film, which is cool. Actually, Brian's what's his name? Jack that was his name. Snyder did something really stupid because he actually explained in an interview that there was a dream sequence. But I'm thinking, why spoil the storyline by saying it's a dream sequence? But of course, I've just done that. So anyway. He has a few dream sequences in this film, right? He has one where I can't remember. It's one where you see the Flash, and it's like Tannen's. I think it's the Flash, and it's then you shouldn't trust that. There's one part where he's like in the desert, right, somewhere, and he's doing something, and he gets like kryptonite. So of course they've, it's not. He looks in this box, right, and of course it's not real kryptonite. And the next minute, Superman's men. Take some of Batman's guys out. Of course, Batman's taken them all out. Of course, he gets captured and he gets taken down into this, I don't know, thing underground. Of course, when you see Superman pop up, it kind of like he's the villain in it, which I liked. I like that idea with Superman as the villain in the future stuff. That could work for a future storyline where Superman becomes the villain in it. Where he's dark and gritty and stuff, and of course Superman from the past goes into the future to so it could. I like to see it like Superman versus Superman, maybe evil Superman versus good Superman. They could do that. That'd be pretty interesting. So yeah, a bit like Christopher Reeve Superman when Superman 3 where he becomes evil. It's got grey and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's things that they could do for really kind of tribute to that film. Because I thought that film was pretty cool. Not perfect, but they Superman 3 they should have took bits certain comedies. If they ever re-edited that film and added scenes and made it a better film, that'd be great. So yeah. Anyway, back to the film. Of course, I like the part where he kills two of his men like using heat vision. That scene was pretty cool. And that scene was good. I thought this is good, but then it turns out to be a dream sequence, of course, or was it? So anyway, of course, this one introduces Lex Luthor in this. Lex Luthor. Actually, you know, it's once he kind of grows on me. The guy playing him, he's not that bad. Because like later on in the film, he does actually get a bald head and he looks more like Lex Luthor. He's not the best Lex Luthor. I think the best Lex Luthor is either from Smallville, Gene Hackman, or New Adventures of Superman. Those Lex Luthors were fantastic. I would have preferred one of those guys to actually been in this film to play Lex Luthor. Just imagine like not Gene Hackman. He could have played Lex, but he's a bit too old. But the guy in Smallville would have suited this film better. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Who would play a good Lex Luthor? Because I like the guy who plays Zod. I think he did a good job. Shannon, that guy, what's his name? Michael Shannon, is it? I think his name. He is great as Lord. He really was, and he actually pops in this film, but he's dead, of course. I like the fact that the introduces Kryptonite in this film, which is great. Of course, Batman nicks that later on in the film and uses it later on as a gas against Superman. Of course, that scene was good. Actually, the Superman versus Batman scene was freaking great. I loved it. I mean, it seems to take a lot longer than this. Like I said, I watched the extended version. It's like 3 hours. This film, and I loved it. It's freaking awesome. It was like, wow, this film's great, brutal as hell. Especially when Batman scrapes Superman's face with his that long kryptonite stick thing. It's pretty nasty actually. This film's got quite a bit of violence in this compared to the last one, Batman v Man of Steel. I mean, of course, Batman in this is more freaking. It's grittier, violent, and he actually breaks limbs and stuff like that, and actually kills. He actually breaks these guys' neck and stuff like that. And there's one part in the film, I'll explain this part, where Martha is taken by these guys, like Lex Luthor's men and so on. And of course, after when Superman and Batman have had a fight, Batman finds out that they've taken Martha. Of course, Batman goes after them to save Martha, of course. And that scene was fantastic. I'm sorry I can't talk like that. It's just freaking hate that. I hate when I can't talk like that. I hate it. So anyway. And the part where he goes into the building and starts taking everyone out in that building, it's freaking awesome. I was just like, this film is brutal. Beats the shit out of everyone. And I like the flying thing, and you know of course the Batmobile was pretty cool in this film. You know the Batmobile, you actually introduces the Batmobile in this film. Introduces, you know. But you didn't see the Batwing. Cool. The Batwing is pretty cool in this film. I was like, whoa, this is pretty awesome. Blows everything up, bloody awesome. But when it starts taking everyone out, it's like awesome. It's freaking. I mean, the film was freaking. I loved. I enjoyed everything about this film. That's some cool freaking moments, and I was just like, wow, this film's great. And the fact that at the end with Superman, so it happens to Superman. It's pretty tragic actually. But then again, there is a beef to have in this film where the kill of a certain character too early in the freaking movie. Well, they should have made a few films and then killed this character off. They did a few things wrong in this film which I didn't like, but they did a lot of things right at the same time. Because they did a lot of things right at the same time. So, but Doomsday's pretty. I like Doomsday. I think it's cool. People seem to shit on his character, but I think his effects are fantastic in this film. I mean, when Doomsday in this film is pretty devastating because when he's destructive. He borrows, he uses his like power move where he can shoot this like big energy beam. He can actually use freaking heat vision too because he's Zod, of course. So I like the way Lex Luthor used his DNA and Zod's body. So he creates this Doomsday machine, Doomsday character. And I like this scene where you see Doomsday come out this egg thing. I don't know what it is, and just about to hit freaking Lex Luthor, and Superman jumps in and saves him. I think that was good because that Superman, he'll save anyone, people that he hates, people that he loves. So yeah. I think the beefs of this film, Superman's a little bit depressed in this film. When you look at films like Superman, New Adventure, Superman is always fun and light-hearted, but these films is dark and gritty and stuff like that too. So anyway, it's like I said, there's a lot of things happen in this film that was just freaking great. Fight between Superman and Batman, great scene. The Batmobile, pretty awesome scene. I like the part where he chases after these guys, right, in the Batmobile, right, and he uses the back of the, uses like a hook on the Batmobile, and it drags the car, and he uses that to destroy this vehicle, these bad guys' vehicle, and that scene was pretty cool. So this is just a total flawed review of this film. So really enjoyed it, by the way. Really enjoyed it. Ben Affleck's character and performance as Batman is fantastic. Jeremy Irons plays freaking Alfred in it, which is great, fantastic. There's one scene where he's like doing a lot of exercise. Batman is Bruce Wayne is doing loads of exercise, like doing that, push, he's like pulling his tie and stuff. It's like, oh, and Ben Affleck looks really muscly in this film. I was like, Jesus Christ, looks way beefy in this film. I was impressed with his muscles. But his performance as Batman, really good. Henry Cavill Superman, still very good. Lois Lane, played by Amy Adams, really good. I think there's one great scene where where she's in the bathroom, she's like naked and stuff. I think, and you can almost see her boobies. So yeah, plus sign there. Yeah, I like Amy Adams. Really excellent actress. She makes a great Lois Lane. She really does. There's a reason why. The guy who plays Lex Luthor, not bad. He actually does get a better. People shit on him, but he's not the best Lex Luthor. He's like the weakest. I suppose in a way he's the weakest link in this film, I think. But he is growing later on in the film. So I'm going to cut this review short of Batman v Superman and Dawn of Justice. Good film, by the way, really enjoyed it. And the rating I'm going to give this film is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So 8 out of 10 for Dawn of Justice. Really enjoyed it. I love the Batmobile in it. Oh, that's fantastic. I love the Batwing. Pretty awesome. I like Ben Affleck's performance as Batman. Great villains in it, and I like Doomsday, and I thought Doomsday was pretty cool. Okay, in the trailer they did kind of ruin it by actually seeing him. I think that ruins people's expectations about the film. They kind of went, oh, you just ruined the freaking story now, and that's what they did wrong with the film. They actually showed too much in the trailer, but apart from that, I really enjoyed it. The 3-hour one is better than, actually I don't think I've seen the other version of the film, but this is like I watched the 3 hours one, 3 hours, over 3 hours of action. I think his performance of Wonder Woman, good, very good. Jeremy Irons, excellent. He's such a good actor. Die Hard 4, Die Hard 3, love that film. Like I said, 8 out of 10 for Dawn of Justice. Okay, people, been like my review, and I might actually go on a bit of Batman. I've been playing like Batman, Arkham Knight, and good game, really excellent game. So anyway, have a nice evening and enjoy the review. You can have agree or disagree. I don't mind. And who do you prefer, Batman, Superman, or even Wonder Woman? And have a nice evening. Like I said, it's totally a flawed review, and I love these films. Really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10, like I said. And have a nice evening. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and that's it. See ya. Bye.